If I seem a bit annoyed today, it's because I am. Because I recorded this video yesterday and I was like, I'm going to be on it. I'm going to have everything done, edit, and I won't have to think about it. I won't rush into the last minute. No more procrastination. I'm going to be on it. Only to realize that my mic was not on the entire video. It wasn't even like bad audio from the camera. There was no audio. I was miming for 2 hours. So, as you can imagine, I'm a little bit pissed. Can you hear me now, bitch? So, we are filming this again. I love my job. I really do. But every job is a job, and I'm very annoyed right now. And we're filming it prior to me going to my Sleep Token concert. I guess this will be good for you guys in the sense that you're going to see me do everything. Like, I'm putting my wig on. I'm putting my makeup on. Y'all going to see the whole spiel today. Anyway, with that said, hi, first of all. If you're new around here, sorry that this is how you meet me. A little bit pissed. If you're new around here, welcome. If you're not new around here, what is up, home skillet biscuit? Happy Saturday. We're talking about a bad movie because I do this thing on my channel called Bad Movies in a Beat, the series on my channel where I talk about bad movies while putting my makeup on. It also doesn't help that this week's movie is also incredibly annoying and grating. So double whammy. So maybe I can like project my real life frustrations onto the shit movie. That's partially why we watch garbage, isn't it? Right? But before we get started, we're going to send it over to Ad Roll Kennie. Thank you. Hello everyone, this is Ad Roll Kennie, and today's video is sponsored by Matchmasters, the only PvP match 3 game that allows you to play against real people. Whether that be online, playing against people around the world, or with your friends and family. Which I gotta say, makes it particularly challenging because they be kicking my butt on there. With exciting and unique boosters and game modes, there are endless ways to strategize and win, and I'm gonna have to try them because they be kicking my booty on there. Getting like destroyed by some 12-year-old in France who's just better at strategy than me. That's humbling. It's a nail-biting experience too, because you'll be like, oh, I'm gonna win, but then if your strategy is booty in the tail end, you could still lose. And that's usually how I go out. Final moments. Keeps you on your toes though. Keeps your brain sharp. And beyond that, it's just a whole lot of fun. So download Matchmasters today using the link down in the description box or this here QR code and get a free gift box. Big thanks to Matchmasters for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get on to the debauchery. Okay, so last time we were here, we were talking about The Ultimatum, but the last time we talked about a movie, we talked about Red, White, and Royal Blue, which was a sneak good movies in a glam, like the rare times I talk about movies that are actually good. I was going into that movie expecting it to be garbage. It was going to be the guy from The Kissing Booth and the guy from Purple Hearts in a love story. Right? Terrible. Sounds terrible. But no, it was actually very, very cute. And a lot of people were telling me to read the book, because if I was crying from the movie, I would lose my shit for the book. And it is on my list of books that I'll like feverishly start and get like halfway through, and then ADHD takes me away and I never finish it. That's where I'm at with American Psycho. I started it a few months ago, got like literally, the book is 399 pages. I got to 200 and just... my ADHD said, not interested anymore. But it is on my list of books to start and never finish. As for the movie, really, really liked it. If you want to check that out in the Bad Movies in a Beat playlist, I put my good movies there too. I also have a good movies in a glam playlist, and it should be there if I remember to put it. But today is not a good movie. You guys send me a lot of shit. All right. Which, again, I will always be so grateful for, because I wouldn't find most of the things without you guys. But because I get sent so many recommendations, it is hard to kind of hone in on one, because what makes it get your attention? What draws you in, you know? You need something that's really standing out. So when I was on the artist formerly known as Twitter, somebody had sent me the recommendation for a Dominican romantic comedy, rom-com. I don't know why I made that more difficult. Feo de día, lindo de noche. Ugly by day, sexy by night, or handsome by night. Oh, if any of you are wondering, this is not a new piercing. This is a cuff. I don't think I'll get that pierced because healing time is annoying. So I just put that on. I got it from Yes Style. I think I'm going to buy like 8 million of them It'll be my new fixation. But yeah, someone sent me the recommendation with a very eye-catching, quick explanation of what the film is. Ugly by day, sexy by night. Black man during the day, white man at night. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say. And honestly, there's nothing else you really have to say in that context because, So as you can imagine, I was stunned. Okay. This is my first venture into movies from the Dominican Republic, but the moment I showed any confused interest in this film, I had a lot of you saying, oh, bitch, if you're getting into Dominican movies, you are in for a wild ride, baby. And lucky for me, Giddy Up is my middle name. With that said, I'm sorry this is the representation y'all getting, but I do have it as a goal of mine to cast cinematic shame on every country on this great planet. Because I believe, much as there are universal truths such as the existence of oxygen and gravity, there too will always be some motherfucker that believed in themselves too much to make a film that we can now watch together and heckle. So, with that said, Ugly by Day, Sexy by Night is about a quote-unquote ugly black man who has a curse placed on him that makes him a sexy white man by the hours of 8 p.m. and midnight. But the ugly black man is, very upset about his plight in life as an ugly black man. And now he's given the opportunity to see what it's like on the other side. But will he find that things are as wonderful as they seem? This sounds like a terrible idea. When I went into this movie, I was like concerned, perplexed, because why are we doing this? I was really scared because historically, well, first of all, colorism is everywhere. Racism is everywhere. But some countries, I've noticed, don't lie about it as much as the United States does. People love to act like colorism particularly doesn't exist. Like, come on, bitch. Come on. Which is wild. So I thought I was too sensitive to watch this movie. I was like, this gonna piss me off. It's gonna make me mad. And it does, but it makes me mad more so because it's just a shitty movie. It ends up being one of those kind of sappy, you are beautiful type of movies as you are, but overall the movie just kind of sucks. Considering I was really concerned that this movie was gonna unironically say, you should just be white. Have you considered being white? It would make, because there's, bleaching is a big thing in a lot of countries. And, I didn't know to what degree this movie was just like, have you considered bleaching? Have you considered just being a white man? And though this movie does in some way kind of insinuate that his life would be better or easier in some ways because he would be closer to, the ideal beauty standard or whatever. It does, again, have this kind of like, you're beautiful as you are, undertone. So I guess, it's like I said, it's better than being like, have you considered being white? And I don't expect a comedy to have some very, very, very deep and intricate understanding or exploration of why colorism exists or anything. It's just kind of this, superficial, love yourself, no matter how colorist the world is. But wrapped within this very perplexingly misogynistic, faltering critique of colorism and racism and all that. I think the main gripe I actually have with the movie is that it's not funny. It got maybe 3 solid laughs for me. With that said, it could be a language barrier thing. I don't speak Spanish. So maybe just some of the jokes don't translate well. But as far as what I understood, it wasn't funny. It wasn't fun. It felt weirdly long for being an hour and a half. But if you also like to waste your time on garbage, feel free to watch it. It's free on YouTube. So without further ado, this is Ugly by Day, Sexy by Night. So the first thing I noticed is that the movie opens with music, not a thing that's uncommon to film. But the thing that I did notice, even with my lack of Spanish skills, despite them putting me in Spanish for 4 years and putting me in AP, bitch, I just know context clues. I don't I don't speak Spanish. I was able to notice that this song is literally the title of the movie. Which is remarkably cringe, but it's okay considering it's the opening theme song. However, I swiftly start to realize there's more than one song that's actually saying something along the lines of you're ugly by day, you're sexy by night. And it's we know what the movie's premise is. It's It's not particularly complicated. Like, you don't have to remind us the title. Like, if you were halfway through the movie, in case you forgot. Like, they just switch up the tempo and genre, but the sentiment is the same. He is ugly by day and he is sexy by night. But anyway, we open to see our main character, the ugly black man, Lorenzo. Lorenzo is a successful businessman of sorts. He works for the government in, like, I guess, like, public advertising or something. It's kind of weird. It's hard to understand, but maybe transportation advertising. But he's successful. That's all you need to know. He has a good job. He has a nice car. He's the envy of many of his friends around him. Oh, side note, if you don't follow me on Twitter, we've changed from the glue saga to tape. I don't think I'm going back. I think I might be an auntie / drag queen. I should have been listening to drag queens for wigs anyway. This would be my first time wearing it out, especially while sweating. So, I mean, I've worn it while working out, but I had a headband on, so we'll see how things go. But if this goes very well, I don't really care. At the Sleep Token concert, I will throw my wig on stage. Hello. This is me hungover editing the video you're watching right now. It stayed on very well. It stayed on the whole night. Through headbanging and sweat. There was not a single fan in that bitch. But yes, it's quicker, it's easier, it's less mess, it's less prep, there's no dry time. I don't know how we got to doing glue when this apparently has still been an option the entire time. Because I always wonder, people that wear like toupees and stuff, what do? If it rains, they whole head slip off? Like, no. But yes, Lorenzo, he has a good life. There are some things about him that are undeniably ugly. Mainly his personality. His face is whatever. Like, if I saw him, I wouldn't think about him one way or another, honestly. Maybe that's not the case in the Dominican Republic, but in the United States, I think most people would not think anything of him. But he is ugly in that he's a terrible person. He's this very annoying, misogynistic, unfunny shithead. I think he's supposed to be funny because this is a comedy, but he's just deeply unpleasant. And something about his like general comedic styling is giving a mixture of Chris Rock and King Batch if they had a Dominican baby. And that Dominican baby sucked. But in fairness, he's not the only person terrible. He may be like kind of a reflection of how terrible the world is around him, in the sense that he's kind of treated like crap by all the people around him, particularly the women. There's a woman he has a crush on named Susanna, who kind of makes jokes about him being dressed up to get his visa interview, which sounds anti-black to me. I don't know the specifics, but it sounds anti-black to me. But Lorenzo wishes his life were different. He wishes he could get the attention of every fair-skinned woman in his office, wish they were falling all over him like a fantasy. But alas, he is subjected to a life in which people politely say hello when he walks into the office, because indeed he does live the reality that only a short, unattractive black man would live, because nobody else just gets pleasant greetings at the office. He spends most of his time ogling his assistant and co-workers. He complains to his friend about how people don't compliment the girls that he dates on being just like walking tits and ass. They compliment them on unimportant things such as, wow, she's so intelligent, or kind, she has a great personality. And he don't want to hear that shit. He want to hear people say, ah, titties, or something. I don't know. And he bemoans having to subject himself to these women, saying that they are like onions. When he peels them, they make him cry. Which is very ironic, considering canonically he's supposed to be the ugliest man to have ever existed. So it's funny that beggars definitely will be choosers, because if anything's universal along with gravity and oxygen, it is the audacity of a man. Not to mention, by the way, he isn't completely ignored by the beautiful women that like are around him. One woman, confusingly, named Marielle, who works at the bank teller's office, who sees him regularly because I guess he's always at the bank cashing checks because he's a big boss man. She actually is legitimately attracted to him. She likes him for some reason. We never know why, but she does like him. But he doesn't seem to see her. It's not like he's mushing her off like, oh, I don't want you. It's more so like he just ignores her. He just doesn't fully comprehend that she's there, which maybe is indicative of him not really seeing all the beauty around him because he's too focused on, you know, how things are going wrong to him. In the office, they end up discussing how they're going to do like an advertisement for like, I don't know, like the subway or metro cars or something. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Public advertisement. And they decided that they wanted to go with quote, an international worldwide man. And that person is white. Now, Lorenzo is like, well, this is the Dominican Republic where 70% of the people here are either black or mixed. Why would we have a white man to represent that? And the people at the meeting are like, well, we want to like represent international beauty standards, aka the world is colorist and so are we. And Lorenzo is like, no, we need someone more Dominican. We need somebody more black. We need someone like me. And they're like, absolutely not. We are racist and colorists. Like, again, I don't know if you didn't hear the first time. But yes, Lorenzo exists in an infinite loop of dissatisfaction. He's mocked by the woman that he's interested in. And he's really missing out because this movie suggests there's a world in which his friend is like the ladies' man simply because he's bald and white. I don't know. But Lorenzo isn't able... I really need my hot comb, but it's in my luggage. But Lorenzo spends a lot of his time, again, just bemoaning how women didn't like him now, they didn't like him in the past. And he's so focused on what he doesn't have that he isn't able to acknowledge that he has more than a homeless man that wishes they had his car. I get what this movie is trying to say, like, oh, you know, think of all the things that you have positive going on in your life. But also, you can have a positive thing going on in your life and you still be sad. But things seem to be just not enough for Lorenzo. That is, until he meets a mysterious blonde woman who approaches him and essentially tells him that he's not noticing, you know, his own beauty, the beauty of things around him.
La verdad que el ser humano es como el mono, ¿eh? Si le dan maní, quiere guineo. Si le dan guineo, quiere maní. Tú lo tienes todo en la vida. Pero no, eso no es suficiente.
She continues to say that we are all beautiful. And she says it's strange how if you ask, say, a Chinese person what the most beautiful person in the world looks like, they'll pick a Chinese person. But in the Dominican Republic, where everybody's black or mixed, they say a blonde woman with blue eyes. Or Beyonce. But she insists that if Lorenzo had the life he wanted, where he was irresistible to women, he would end up finding it boring and unsatisfying. He wouldn't be happy with that either. And he said, well, I'm boring and unsatisfied and ugly right now. I kind of wish I could be at least pretty. And so she tells him that from the hours of 8 p.m. to midnight, he is going to become beautiful. This will go on indefinitely, and then she just disappears. Lorenzo doesn't take much heed to what she's saying because she sounds cuckoo banana. But eventually the clock does strike and Lorenzo does change into a sexy man. Beauty is subjective. Also, this is a comedy. Maybe that's part of the joke. I don't know. That's not, I'm sorry. But he doesn't notice that the change has happened. So he's going about his night the way he would, say, any other weekend. He goes to a bar he frequents. The valet outside doesn't recognize him when he was like, here, take my car. And he's behaving very familiarly with them. He's getting more attention from women and he doesn't fully understand what's going on there. He's like, what the fuck? He goes up to the bar. He tries to order his usual and she's like, and what would that be? And all of these people acting all different to him starts to kind of freak him out a little bit until he ends up going to the bathroom. And when he looks down at his white penis, that's when he knows that something is terribly, terribly wrong. What a fucking sentence. He discovers that he is indeed a white man. He rushes back to the docks. He's like, what the fuck is going on? Where is that blonde woman? So he goes there waiting for her and falls asleep on a bench until about 12:30. And when he awakens, he is his normal self again. The next day, he's kind of out of it. He's like, oh my God, that must have been just a very weird dream. God, I love makeup. It's such a fun way to lie. See how awake I look on this side? Love that. But as 8 o'clock draws nigh and he does indeed turn into a white man again, he realizes that this is no dream. From the hours of 8 and midnight, he is indeed a white man. At some point, he kind of acknowledges that he's canonically hot, which, if you recall, was what he wanted before. He's like, oh, I want to be irresistible. I've never been irresistible. I've never been attractive. This would be amazing. So once he's past the initial shock, he's actually very excited about this. He goes out to try his new hot white man powers. He goes back to that bar that he frequents and begins his official hoe phase. He's a playboy. He gets, all the girls, and basically any woman he sets his sights on is his for the night. And he's having the time of his life, except for a few hiccups when he forgets when he's going to turn back. So he decides to go and buy 2 watches for some reason. One for right before he changes into a white man, and one for right before he turns back. He does that for some reason because he says he wouldn't hear 2 alarms on his phone. At first I thought it was like an ad for watches, but no, this is just the thought process. And now with his 2 watches in place, he goes on his hoeing sexcapade. Lorenzo's having the time of his ugly ass life. And that is when the blonde woman reappears. She comes and gives him a warning like, hey, you're gonna grow bored of this life. Wouldn't you prefer to just have a situation where you're with one woman who really loves you deeply and understands you more so than these kind of shallow relationships, purely sexual relationships that you're having? And he says no. Romance is dead. And what I'm doing is getting some ass. I'm loving my life right now. So he continues his, escapades. He starts betting the girls at work by saying, I know I'm not your type, but I know someone that you would be very much so into. And it's him after 8 p.m. Meanwhile, though, Mario, who, again, is really into him for some reason, goes up to Susanna and is like, hey, I have a crush on Lorenzo's ugly ass. Can you help me? And she's like, I know just the thing. Let's give you a makeover to get his attention. So after an all-important fashion montage, she goes in a beautiful, attractive woman and comes out an equally beautiful, attractive woman, just with her hair down and a little bit more makeup on. So when she comes in with her quote-unquote new look, Lorenzo finally sees her and he's like, okay, now I'm gonna, hit her with my go-tos, which is, I know you're not interested in me, but I know a guy that you would be interested in. So he goes up, about to say that. But before he can get the rest of the line out, she's like, what makes you think I wouldn't be interested in you? And he's like taken aback by that. Like, what? I've had a crush on you for the last 6 months. I've been trying to ask you out for the last 6 months and you've been ignoring me. You've been ignoring me. You didn't give me the time of day. And now because I just put on a blazer and a short skirt and put my hair down, suddenly you want me. And now that Mario seems to have gone a bit cold on him, he's starting to remember all the times that she had been trying to get his attention and he just hadn't noticed. And so he decides to make an effort to properly ask her out. She's like, okay, meet me for dinner at 8:30. And he's like, yeah, that sounds great. He's so excited that he doesn't realize that that's an issue, because if they meet after 8 o'clock, he's going to be a white man. And for once, that is not what this woman wants. Finally realizing that maybe becoming a different person is actually not that great, in comes Blondie and he's like, hey, remove this shit. I found somebody that likes me for the ugly that I am. And she's like, yeah, no, this is what you wanted. You want it to be sexy. But no, I've met someone that wants me for me. And she's like, well, figure that out. So instead, he decides to take her to dinner a bit early, which ends up becoming a bit of a pattern for him. Seeing her earlier in the evening and then at night, he disappears, which she ends up finding quite suspicious. Does he have another woman? Does he have a family? Like, what's going on? So she's like, if you don't have anything to hide, let's go out dancing. So they go out dancing and they're having fun until he realizes, it's supposed to be 8 o'clock. I gotta figure something out. So he goes to the bathroom, becomes a white man. But then he ends up serendipitously finding a man who is a similar build as him originally and black. And knocks him out, switches clothes with him, and drags him out of the of the club, pretending that he's Lorenzo and needs to be taken to the hospital.
I know you fucking lying. I know you fucking lying. Oh my God. What?
Over time, it's becoming harder and harder to hide the truth because, again, he can't meet her at night. So one day she just pops up over his house right before 8 o'clock. Give me a second. And then he goes back inside, turns into a white man, and then claims that this white man is Lorenzo's cousin and that Lorenzo can't come out right now. Frustrated by seemingly another lie, Mario leaves. She came there with Susanna, so he ends up telling Susanna, I am Lorenzo. And like any sane person, she's like, get the f*** out of my face, always lying, damn. Eventually, Lorenzo ends up telling his friend about the switchover, which he eventually proves to him by just simply making him stick around until after 8. And the friend is both horrified and fascinated by it. He's like, wait, I kind of want to meet this witch. I'm curious, what can she do for me? This ends up starting a bit of a fight for some reason between the two. It's very stupid. It's mostly just there so we can get a good old-fashioned cartoonish chase scene. It's one of the many scenes that don't need to be there. Mario is like, I'm gonna give you one more chance. 8:30. We're going dancing all night. If you do not come, we are over. 8:30 sharp. So he comes as a white man to her house. This pleases her father, who is thinking that this is her partner, her boyfriend, because he's so handsome. But she's like, that's Lorenzo's cousin. Why did Lorenzo send his fucking cousin? So she's like, okay, I'm gonna go dancing with your cousin. She calls him. And Lorenzo gets out of the car so that she doesn't hear that it's his phone ringing. You know, he says something's wrong with the car. I got to check the engine. But she's like, Lorenzo, why did you send your fucking cousin? He said, well, I was in an emergency. I had to send my cousin. I'm so sorry. And she's like, look, we're over. We're done. You play around. I'm about to fuck your cousin. She says, I'm going to go get her. He's like, no, don't do that. They go out dancing. She tries to make a move on him as white man. And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that to my cousin. No, he doesn't deserve that. No, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, no, we're over. He don't ever want to be around me. So it goes past midnight. Lorenzo changes back and then tries to be like, wow, why would you do that? Why would you try to f my cousin? Mind you, they haven't even kissed yet. So, and they don't kiss the entire movie. I wonder, was that in her contract? Don't worry about it. You don't even have to kiss this ugly nigga. He finds the blonde woman again and he's like, please let me go back to normal. I think I am the prettiest person. Like, as I am, I'm the prettiest motherfucker around. Please let me go back to staying just like this, please. And she doesn't agree, but she does walk off seemingly satisfied with his, change in development. Lorenzo goes to Mariel's house begging for her forgiveness. Meets with her father, who again thinks that her boyfriend is a white dude. So when this guy comes begging for Mariel, he's like, I'm gonna shoot your ass, weirdo. Side note, I'm definitely gonna have to reapply this wig. We'll worry about that later. Lorenzo's friend invites him to a pool party, and that's where all of his coworkers, the girls that he had slept with while he was white Lorenzo, and they're hitting on him now as black Lorenzo, but he can't focus because all he's focused on is on the love of his life, Mariel, who doesn't want to talk to him. And he was so focused on it that he didn't realize that he was still black after 8 p.m. The curse had been lifted. But once he does notice, he's ecstatic. Mira que negro, ma bello. Now a full Negro, he goes to her house and day after day begs for her forgiveness via various outrageous antics, including bringing a priest to the house, getting a mariachi band, threatening to jump off a building if she doesn't forgive him. No te voy a perdonar nada. That one got me. That one was very funny. And eventually he does one final feat, putting a tent outside of her home until she forgives him. She says, I'll be back at 8:30. If you're still here, we'll see. Despite these incredibly troubling displays of love, he's still there and she forgives him. And the blonde woman is there looking at them as they reunite. And that's the movie. This shit was terrible. Beyond the questionable premise, it was just, again, not a fun thing to watch. It felt like something that could have been a sketch that ended 15 minutes into it. Even after watching it the second time on like 1.5 speed, it was immensely boring and overwhelming. I realize I gotta finish my hair, otherwise you guys will think I just left you hanging. I'm so sorry. That would be really funny though. If I just ended the video with my hair not being done, that would be so Kennie core. Don't look too close on my hairline. I'm definitely going to reapply this and pluck it before I go to the concert. But anyway, thanks for watching. If you like this video, like it and all that. Follow me on social media, Instagram and Twitter, both of which are KennieJD. If you have other bad movies that you think I should check out, feel free to put those down in the comment section. I think next week we're going to talk about Talk to Me because it's streaming now. So I'm really excited about that. I'll see you guys next time.